Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a no run-through review for Mercado de Lisboa, which is the filler game designed by Vito Lasarda and Julian Pombo. And as for most of you who would know, if you've watched any of my other just review videos, typically if I don't do a run-through, that means that I am not a fan of the game, and as is the case here. Mercado de Lisboa is quite disappointing, I think, to say the least. It had so much hype for me because I have absolutely loved everything that Vito has done, and whenever I heard that, oh, he's making, he's doing a filler game, okay, well, if his regular games are like way up here in complexity, his filler games are probably going to be mid-weight at the very least. And this game just doesn't have anything going for it, at least for me. Like the mention of like how it like kind of presents itself as like a fast-paced, easy to learn but deep game kind of is already a red flag for me whenever your game is already trying to convince the audience what it is. It's like, look, how about you just explain what the game's about and let it show off, oh man, that was actually really easy to learn, and there's a lot of don't try to tell me what it is ahead of time, because then there's already preconceived notions and they usually fall short. So, I mean, where it is easy to learn, I think the deep, whatever they say, the deep tactical choices is a little bit on the exaggerated side. Not to say that there's no choices here, because whenever it's your turn, you have a few actions that you can actually do, and they're all relatively straightforward. You either place a stand with your gate on it, or your stand on it, you place a customer, you place a restaurant, or you gain a money. And all of these, of course, have various effects, but in doing so, what we found in multiple games was that you spend a lot of your time doing setup, like with your stands and then restaurants, or placing stands next to other restaurants, because restaurants increase the productivity, I guess, of your stands and therefore your value, which at the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins. And turn order takes such a drastic effect in that if you're going first, then you basically get a lot of dibs on where you want to place. So that's incredibly annoying, considering the fact that there's nothing in this game that allows you to alter someone's presence, to swap to swap restaurants, to swap stands. It's just, I place here, so for the rest of that game, I am going to be able to benefit off of that placement. And that's incredibly frustrating, because if someone already has kind of a strategy of what they want to do, then they're going to be the ones to capitalize off that. And if they don't, then it's because the other players hate drafted against them. Now, you can't purely hate draft, and by hate draft I mean take a customer, place it on a spot to where they can't capitalize, they can't gain as much money as they would if they're the ones who placed it. And because customers only give you the value of something based off a certain type of stand. And so, because whenever someone places a customer, they have to place one where there is at least one of their stands there, of the type that they're wanting. So it's like, if you're looking at a row of, 5, and, oh, there's me, in the middle, not going to gain as much, but, oh, man, someone's going to get a bunch of money if they find someone with fruit and tea. It's like, okay, I'll take the guy who wants sushi and just plop him down on the one of 2 spots, because there's 2 spots per row and column, just so I gain a couple bucks, and that blocks one of their spots. And I don't like that. I don't like hate drafting just for the sake of hate drafting. I'd rather my strategy be, succinct on its own, that I win through that, not because I'm actively trying to be vindictive against the other players. And it's very weird. This game is weird because it feels like it's trying too hard to be complex, but also trying to be incredibly simple. And by trying to have its cake and eat it too, it basically appeases no one. I cannot imagine who this game is for, because it's a marketing gimmick. I feel like it's like, okay, here's Lisboa. You remember Vito's game Lisboa? That is amazing and has so much, complexity, but yet synergy within it, multiple different strategies to go for. Yeah, you recognize that name. Oh, you also recognize one of the designers' names. So yeah, you're definitely going to get this, and by that, it's going to fall flat. I feel like for me, I mean, I could be wrong, but at least for me, for hardcore Vito Lasarda fans. But for people who aren't going to go into that, they're going to be like, well, okay, this game doesn't really seem to have anything going for it. Like, in the multiple games I've played, it's always come down to, since you keep your money hidden, whoever gets that big swing move, like whoever gets to place a customer and it's like, boom, okay, I got 18 coins off that, I got whatever, I got 10 coins off that, and everyone else is kind of doing 4 or 5, it's just like, okay, well, now I know for a fact I have more money than everyone, so all I'm going to do for the rest of this game is not really build any more stands. I'm just going to keep taking customers and placing them on spots, because I know how much you're going to get off of any given spot, and I know how much I'm going to get, so therefore I will always be ahead of you. Because you can't maneuver or mess with anyone, the fact that if you set up in a decent spot, really through no real effort, it's just like, okay, well, this game is kind of in the bag for me. And I very much don't like that. And the other thing about this game that it doesn't do well at all is scale to the number of players. A 2-player game is too wide, because this board is one board. It doesn't shorten or grow depending on the number of players. So a 2-player game is too wide. Everyone's able to place wherever. You'd have to go out of your way to block the other person. And even then, if you're like, oh, I'm going to go next to the pub, it's like, okay, I'm also going to go next to the pub. So they don't really ever actually stop you. And in a 3-player game, which actually I found to be the best player count, it does change. It is a little bit better than with 2. I don't think it works with 2 at all. But still, once again, that's kind of just more people in the way of whatever this game is. Like, if someone is like, oh, I'm going to place here, and then the 2 people just kind of indirectly start competing with stand placement without even really trying to, once again, a player is just like, oh, great, okay, all my stands are next to the restaurants I need them to, and they're kind of blocking each other, so yay me. And it's like, okay, well, now they're either going to gang up on the one person to make sure they don't win because they need to make money, or they're both just going to lose. And in a 4-player game, then the game is absolutely too tight and way too short. It's just like, it doesn't, I just don't understand why there's no scaling, why there's no regular big board that it's like, okay, use the whole board for 4, use 1 row and column less for 3, and use 1 row and column less for 2. So if you want that competing tile placement that block one another to try and capitalize on gaining the most money, then you think it would scale, but it doesn't. The other thing that I don't really care for, just in general, is actually just the overall look of the game, the overall look and feel and theme. I don't get market. I mean, it says, yeah, modern day markets offer their visitors various stands, eateries, and services. Yeah, I guess, but it's like the fact that they have stands, but then there's also restaurants that just kind of benefit the nearest or the orthogonal stands that are next to it. It's just weird. Like, the art I'm not a fan of for anything, like the board layout, the box art, the tiles. It's just all, it feels just half-baked. Like, the people I was playing it with, his son was saying that this game just needed longer to cook, which is a pretty good aspect of what this game needed. I feel like there needs to be more to it. After playing I feel like after playing this game a few times, you're already going to be over it. It's like, there's not enough here. And here's what we found. After a few games, we were like, oh, because the game ends whenever there are not 4 spaces, whenever there are 4 or customer spaces left or 4 stand places left. Every other player gets a turn. The wording in the rule says every other player. So if I'm first player and the person, like let's say we're in a 3-player game, the person who goes before me ends the game, places a stand, okay, there's 4. I get another turn and the other person gets another turn. And it's like, well, that's not fair, because that means that I get an extra turn. Me and the other person get an extra turn even though I started the game. So it's not even go until everyone has the same number of turns, so that's already a mistake. But whenever, where was I going with that? So whenever everyone's kind of placing their stands, it kind of comes to a halt, because when that end condition causes the game, when it's just like, oh, okay, well, now we need to start, because everyone kind of places their stands, or they want to. Or you can play some customers, start off with some money, then play some stands. You have some freedom there, I guess. Or you can just take money and then buy a bunch of stands. But whenever everyone's kind of placing to make an ideal, row or column for the ideal customer, so they can be like, boom, okay, that's going to be this wine. This wine stand is next to, a wine restaurant. Okay, that's times 2. Or that's already 2 times 2, that's 4. Oh, same thing, so that's 8 money. Okay, yay, good for me. So everyone's doing that. And then it's like, oh, the game will end. So now we need to start getting customers. Or everyone's kind of aware. And it is one of those games where the players do dictate the length of the game, which is something I normally like, is the fact that, oh, okay, there is some type of strategy to trying to end it whenever you think that you can win. Submerg does that. There was one I played recently where I did that, and I was just hedging my bets that I had enough points. But anyway, sometimes you can math it out and be like, oh, okay, if I end it now, I might win. And you try to aim for that. And it could yay or it could boo. But here, the fact that happens already takes their fast-paced game and lengthens it. And now it's like, okay, well, there wasn't enough depth, there wasn't enough game here for it to be stretched out, because your options don't increase at all. It's just now this game's longer. And I mean, it does say 30 to 45 minutes. That is actually pretty accurate. But sometimes it could take an hour if you're just sitting there trying to place customers in a specific way and stands in a specific way to try and get your maximum money possible, while also not trying to end the game. And the other way the game can end is if every player consecutively just takes the 1 coin action, which obviously no one's going to do because, they don't want the game to end. And now it might be something where it's like the other players just kind of do it, and you can be the one, oh, okay, if I do it, the game will end, and then we don't have to play this anymore. Is kind of, that would be my thought process. There's just nothing here for me. Like, if you're a fan of Vito Lasarda and you're a fan for his other games on Mars, Escape Plan, CO2, Vinos, Gallerist, like if you're a fan because of those games, I would say steer clear of this one. I don't understand who the target audience was. I mentioned kind of graphic design. Something that's also quality of life that they could have done and absolutely didn't are these freaking screens. Now, you take these screens only if you want to play with hidden money, which it mentions you don't have to. You can play with open money, and if you're playing with open money, just put all the money in a bag, everyone grabs a handful and pulls it out and just see who wins that way, because the game is only even remotely interesting is if you don't know how much everyone has, because that's the point of the game. If you can openly see then you can very much just math out this game. And as soon as someone gets a good point, you're just like, okay, well, I can't catch up. Now, so these screens are incredibly lame. Like, these are virtually useless in every way. Not only do they just have a symbol of your stand, what would have been nice is if you're gonna have kind of this subpar art, at least what you could do is do kind of like a bargain quest and have like maybe your own unique market, your own unique stand design on the back. That would have been at least nice. You have some uniqueness in a game where there's really nothing to it. But, okay, fine, you don't want to do that, this is just a screen. Well, at least then put some information on it. I have never seen a bare screen like this. It's been a while since I played a game with a screen, but oh my god, like, nothing on these wings here. And I'm not saying have freaking roll through the galaxy detail where it's basically the rules all printed here, but you have your 4 actions here, and the 4 actions are extremely simple. What you should have on here, on the wings, where there's room, is the actual math that is in this game. Because all of his games just happen to have like some weird like math to it on how, oh hey, what's the quality of your wine? How much does it take to build, a certain type of building in Lisboa? Which I guess is kind of, that's the parallel. I don't know. But in this game, you get money 2 ways. One, building a stand in a location where there are customers already there who match the stand that you're building. And you get money that way. Or placing customers who, in a row or column, that the number of stands in that row or column match the number of people there, as well as at least one of your stands has what they want. And then there's the multiplier. The number, it goes 1 to 4. So if I placed this level 3 customer in this column of 5, and I was yellow or purple, then it's like, oh, there's my sushi stand. It's next to a pub, and it's next to a sushi restaurant. So that's going to be 3 times 3. That's 9. And I'm not saying the math is hard. I'm just saying that it's easily the most complex portion of this game, and so that's why there's nothing here. It could have easily just been, hey, stand, money or whatever, and then the 2 steps or whatever, and like how much it costs, and then how much you get for placing it, and then customers' money, and give you the 3 steps. I mean, I just explained how that works. This is such a waste of cardboard. When I first saw these, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They didn't even freaking try. Which is not surprising after playing this game. It just doesn't seem like... It seems like a marketing gimmick. The weird part is this game isn't... Even though I've been kind of just shitting on it in the past 20 minutes. This game isn't bad. It's not the worst game I've ever played. It's just an odd game to have been made. Like, I wouldn't call it... I definitely wouldn't call this game good, but I wouldn't necessarily call it horrendously bad. It's like, if someone were to ask me, hey, do you want to play this? I'd be like, no. Not because, oh, wow, this game makes me mad that it's so bad. It's more, yeah, I just don't want to be bored for the next 30 minutes. Like, there's nothing exciting here for me. It's not like, oh, wow, this art, it's just... out of tile layers and fillers, especially, like, when you have, Calico or Cascadia, like, 2 filler... hell, even some of the Azules out there, any polyomino game where you actually have at least some puzzle aspect of how you want to place things with different ways of scoring, this game just falls way flat in comparison to those. So, yeah, it's just not the greatest, and yeah. All right. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think if this was any other game, like if it did not have Eagle Griffin and it did not have Vidal Lasarda's name on it, I'd probably give it a 5. I'd be like, this is painfully average. But because it does have his name on it, and it is by Eagle Griffin, and this is easily the worst of any of their games that I've played, I have to drop it down to a 4. I do not want to play this again, and hopefully, because this theme could work for like an actual heavy Euro Beetle start of game. Like, I could see this being made where you have to run. I don't think he actually has any restaurant games. He has, terraforming Mars, or not. He has colonizing Mars. He has global war or climate change. He has bank heist. He has cars, art, reconstructing Lisboa, running a vineyard. Yeah, this is an idea that I would say would work fantastic. Actually having to get different ingredients, bring in different customers who want different things, have to do orders, have to, maybe even build your restaurant. Like, I could see that being a fantastic idea for a big Euro game from him. The new one I think that'll be coming out, well after this review is, what was it, Weathertop or Weather Machine, which looks really cool. So, I don't know. I could see this market restaurant idea theme working in a very grandiose, typical Beetle game, but as a filler, it's just very, 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 very boring. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Mercado de Lisboa. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.